What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Believe in Kentucky. My name is Vinny Hardy. The homie Aaron Gershon will be along here shortly. He is in Milwaukee, getting situated and getting ready uh, to cover Kentucky and Troy on Friday. Y'all feel free to subscribe, like, uh, follow, all that good stuff on social media, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe if you're watching. Just if you're listening, go ahead and just hit the subscribe button, and the episodes will come to your device. You won't have to search, it'll come right to you. Same thing if you subscribe, if you watch on YouTube. We definitely appreciate that. Tell your friends also. If you're interested in advertising on the podcast, we'd be happy to promote your business or product on Believe in Kentucky. Got a poll on the Twitter account Believe in Kentucky right now because I don't know if y'all are like me. Here we sit a couple days away from the game. It'll be a day away from the game when this drops. But how is this game week progressing for you all? Is it flying by? Is it dragging? Does it seem like it's taking Friday evening forever to get here? Or is this week going by pretty quick? For me, I might be the only one feeling this way. Who knows? I'm kind of quirky. The season flew by. Mark Pope was getting the team together. Next thing you know, the season is over. The SEC tournament is over. And now here we wait, since the Cats lost to Alabama down in Nashville. You have selection Sunday, find out you're playing Friday. To me, it seems like this week is creeping a little bit. As fast as everything has been going, seems like now it's a little bit of a slow little drag till we get to Friday. Usually the weeks fly by for me. As a kid, you hear the old timers say, well, the older you get, the faster it goes by. And they're right. But right now, this week's going a little bit slow. But it'll be Friday before we know it. Thursday, games all day. Get some Cinderella upsets in there, something like that. You just start looking at your bracket and see how quickly it becomes completely incorrect, completely wrong. And then we'll be watching Kentucky and Troy before we know it. But for right now, it seems like it's dragging a little bit. We got the play-in games going, and uh, it's fixing to have a bearing on Kentucky. We just saw Mount St. Mary's beat American. Um, North Carolina, unfortunately, took care of San Diego State to the chagrin of everybody outside of Chapel Hill. They handled them yesterday. But we have Xavier in Texas coming up, which could have a bearing on Kentucky. If the winner of this game can win their next game against Illinois and Kentucky handles Troy, well, then Kentucky will be facing potentially one of these teams in the second round. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm still in the camp that, look, let's just beat Troy. Been a little minute since we've seen a win in the tournament. Talk about that when Aaron comes on here too. His colleague Chris Fisher wrote a piece about that, and you guys always check him out at the Cat's Paws. Check out Aaron's great work as well. But everybody gets got eventually. Duke had some dubious first round losses. Kansas, dubious first round losses. We've seen 2 seeds knock off 15s before. Virginia made history being a 1 seed to lose to a 16 to UMBC a few years ago. Kentucky had, for the most part, been able to, dodge all of that kind of stuff, all of that uh, notoriety for the wrong reasons. But they got just like every great shot blocker. Eventually, somebody's gonna dunk on you. As many shots as Dikembe Mutombo, the late great Mount Mutombo blocked. Vince Carter got him. Michael Jordan dunked on him. All things, you get got eventually. after a while. So Kentucky, they got, in the form of St. Peter's, in the form of Oakland. So as we wait, there's some that do. It depends on if you're optimistic or pessimistic. How how you lean? Are you glass half full, glass half empty? Uh, are you confident that hey, Kentucky, we're back. It's March. We're about to march through this tournament and make a deep run and do what we do what we've done historically? Or are you that of the ilk that, uh, man, St. Peter's, Oakland, no, it's a new regime, new coach, new staff, new players, new everything, but uh, it's still a black cloud over Kentucky. Um, I think it was Evan Mia, does the analytics website, that had Kentucky as the most likely three to get upset by a 14 seed. So that's just what we, as Big Blue Nation, wanted and needed to hear. Especially those who are already like, oh, there's the black cloud hanging over us. We haven't been out of the first round in a while. So hearing that, ugh, fuels of that fire from evermia.com. Uh, I am confident. First of all, I'm confident, but I'm also, look, one win I'll be happy with. Does the bracket set up nicely? Yeah, I talked about it on Sunday after the selection show. I like where Kentucky sits, like how the bracket sets up. Hey, cool. Like being a three, like Tennessee as the two. If you face them again, is it tough to beat a team three times? Yeah, but did Alabama just beat Kentucky three times? Yes. Are we so far from what we've seen in the game in Knoxville and the game in Lexington, a bad matchup for Tennessee? Yes. Beat them shorthanded, guys out, guys hurt. Didn't matter. So have every right to be confident. Should we handle business and win two games and make it to the Sweet 16 to play Tennessee and Indy? But let's beat Troy first just to get a win in the tournament. It's been a little minute. As we know, this will also get Mark Pope his first ever NCAA tournament win. That'll start his time off at Kentucky on the right foot. So that's one of the things that Chris Fisher was talking about in his piece with the Cat's Paws. Kentucky's got some business to handle, some monkeys to get off their back in the immediate next game. That would alleviate a lot of stress and worry. And I'm serious. I'm in the camp. Hey, if we win one game, that's in the tournament. That's one more than we won last year. That's one more than we won in, was it 2022 when you lost to St. Peter's? It's been a minute since we've had some postseason wins. Oh, you know, hopefully there is that deep run, but anything in addition to one win will be gravy for me this year. We get back to being our usual Kentucky selves, and Mark Pope will have another year to build and a full off season to recruit and get the team the way he wants it, and continue to build going forward. Um, did a lot of great things this year on the fly. We forget how fast everything was, you know, how fast it was for us. Imagine how fast it was for them moving here and getting situated, hiring a staff. All that was happening simultaneously. And then to get all these wins, these memorable, enjoyable wins in the regular season, these wins over top ranked teams, these quad one wins. Speaking of, North Carolina doesn't really know what that's about. They like to borrow a few of our quad ones. But yeah, for Kentucky to do all that was amazing. Uh, so let's beat Troy and then keep it going and build on that. On the women's side too, got to give props because Kenny Brooks came in and did the same thing that Mark Pope was doing, having to get a new team. Uh, Brought Georgia Amore and Claire Strack with him from Virginia Tech, as well as his daughter, uh, Cassidy Rowe. Was a holdover. You had Deja Lawrence coming in, Amelia Hassett coming in, a completely new team, and they end up being a 4 seed hosting, like we talked about Sunday. But Kenny Brooks was named the National Coach of the Year. So for him to come in, brand new job, uh, brand new conference, brand new league that you're trying to learn, all of those things, again, things happening simultaneously. Um, but to be the National Coach of the Year was unbelievable. Let's see. Right here, straight from the Kentucky women's basketball Twitter page. Uh, National Coach of the Year. In less than a year, he signed 11 new players, hired 11 new coaches and staffers, a 4 seed and a double bye at the SEC tournament, 4 seed and hosting in the NCAA tournament, 20 plus wins, 10 plus wins in the SEC. Now, that in this league, do that in year one, that carries a lot of weight. Um, we know that the women's basketball team had not been doing well. Uh, I have taken 2 years to combine to get 10 SEC wins. I'm not sure, but it wasn't great. We had to run to the SEC tournament title and the win over South Carolina, which was amazing. But in and around that, it wasn't what everybody wanted to see. So he also produced two uh, Basketball Hall of Fame finalists, earned 5 AP Top 25 wins, sold out reserve season tickets, sold out 4 games, saw 9 school records broken, and just goes on and on and on. So unbelievable job by Coach Kenny Brooks in year one. Uh, he said it was a sleeping giant when he got here, and he's laid a wonderful foundation going forward with turning around the program and reviving it. Remember, everything he did this year, everything we just read, he had 2 injuries, 2 young ladies that were potential starters that were never in the rotation. So imagine him with that depth. Look what he did with limited depth, limited players to work with. And he was there, he was holding his own in the SEC, going toe to toe with South Carolina on the road, uh, at LSU on the ropes. That's 2 more wins that they kind of slipped away. You're in year one talking about wins against South Carolina, LSU kind of slipping through your fingers. Beat the fool out of the Lady Vols. That was one of the top 25 wins. Alabama was another one. Oklahoma was another one. Just a great job by the women's team, and very deserving for Kenny Brooks to be the Sporting News National Coach of the Year. Let's look at our poll that we just put out and see what everybody is thinking. I'm of the notion, like I said, that the week is kind of dragging. Let's see. Got 5 votes in so far, and it is 60-40. So, in favor of dragging. 3 people feel like me that this week is dragging. 2 people feel that the week is flying by. So it will be Friday night before we know it, and we'll be tipping it off very, very soon. Speaking of tipping off, Xavier and Texas have just tipped off, and it is 2-2. So these playing games will be concluded after this one. There's Sean Miller and Xavier. His shirt is a little bit darker, so not able to see the Bruce Pearl effect that's going on with the sweat on that shirt. But you know that's taking place as well. But 2-2, Xavier and Texas right now. Oh, I gotta look at this young guy that was hating on the SEC, and just not the first, not gonna be the last. But his name is Dane Miller. I saw his tweet. Aaron saw his tweet. Get Aaron's thoughts on it too when he jumps in here. Um, let's see if I can find it. Because it was one of those when you look at the profile, then it tells you all that you need to know. Yeah, let's see where it is here. It was again going back to Selection Sunday and the multiple amount of SEC teams that reached the tournament. Uh, yes, under no circumstances should a single conference get 13 at-large bids into the NCAA tournament. No league is that deep. The SEC and its primary partner ESPN engaged in a coordinated media campaign to hype up the conference, and it worked. All right. So not a fan of the SEC getting 13 bids, 14 teams in. No league is that deep. Now you look up the profile and it says assistant editor and senior writer for Super West Sports. Location, here you go, Tucson, Arizona. So clearly a Pac 12 man, or what used to be a Pac 12 man, or Pac 2, however many teams they have now. But again, we flip the script, these biases would not be there. If the Pac 12 had expanded to 14 teams and then to 16 teams and had a monster season, had 13, 14 teams in the NCAA tournament, I'm sure Mr. Miller wouldn't be saying a word. He'd be good with it. But since his conference, the Conference of Champions, evaporated and disintegrated down to two teams, looking to get it back to 8, I think, when they add some Mountain West teams here in the near future, since his conference is kind of in shambles. Well, he's got a problem with the SEC being that deep, being that loaded, being that tough. So I just hope the SEC follows through with what they did in the regular season with multiple deep runs in the tournament, and where the SEC is well represented in the Final Four. Those who are old enough to remember saw 3 Big East teams in Lexington in 1985 for the Final Four. Georgetown, St. John's, and Villanova all made it. So I want to see the SEC get representation with multiple teams to finish the job in the postseason that it's already done so far and sustained throughout this regular season. So if that does happen, Mr. Dave Miller will absolutely lose his mind. Got the homie Aaron Gershon from the Cat's Paws backstage, gonna bring him in from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What's going
There
on, man?
we are. Apologize for being a touch late.
Oh, man. It's all right. Appreciate you doing it, man. You traveling and getting situated and all that. So appreciate you making time to be on this week in any form or fashion, man.
No, wouldn't miss it. And can report it is freezing and sleeting. It is Wisconsin. but that's all I got so far. We'll we'll talk to the teams tomorrow, but no, excited to be here, and it's been a good afternoon walking around, even though it's been cold and rainy. Getting acquainted a little bit. I've been to Milwaukee before, but it's been a minute, so it's good to be back.
Absolutely. I was just talking about your buddy, our buddy, Dane Miller, and how he was appalled that the SEC had 13, 14 teams in the tournament.
I honestly,
You and I both went after on Twitter a little bit.
joke, man. Well, yeah. Look, and maybe if I was covering a different conference, I'd understand. Especially, I get it. Boise State didn't get in, whatever. But I mean, I've had the fortune to watch all 16 teams in person this year. I didn't. The only Kentucky game I missed was Mississippi State, but I got to see them play. Who did they play? They lost to Missouri in the SEC tournament. So I got the chance to see all 16 of these teams, and like outside of LSU, every team I watched, there was at least one thing I was like, damn, like this is a tough team. This is a good team. And, you know, the two teams, I guess, that were the closest to being left out were Oklahoma and Texas. And, you know, Texas goes and beats Texas A&M down in Nashville, and they win 2 games. They pick up 2 quad 1 wins, and you go look at their resume, and they beat Kentucky and they beat Missouri, and they have quad 1 wins. Trey Johnson's the freshman of the year. Or did he win freshman of the year? If he didn't, it's a crime. I mean, he's the leading scorer in the league. And they get their guard, Shendell Weaver, who they were missing for a while back. And I'm watching him make big plays right now on the TV, you know, against Xavier. And then, you know, Arkansas, to their credit, the way they saved their season and, you know, picked up the wins that they did. You can't, like, are any of those teams that have 7 quad 1 wins less worth, like, who's replacing them? North Carolina with their 1 quad 1 win. North Carolina didn't even get a quad 1 win last night. Like, that was a quad 2 win. So it's a joke. And look, Boise State, at least San Diego State, you know, I know they looked terrible last night, but they beat Houston and they beat Creighton. Like, they have some really good wins on that radio. If Boise State, if you want to get in the tournament, how about you go beat Boston College?
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
So
you lost Boston freaking College.
So you got to be objective. I mean, growing up, historically, the ACC and the Big East were the best basketball conferences. As a kid, I wasn't sitting here saying, you know, the SEC is better. I could see that it was not. So this guy, you know, as soon as I saw that tweet, I pulled up the profile. He's in Tucson, Arizona. So he's mad. His conference is in shambles. But if the Pac-12 had expanded to 16 teams and put 13, 14 in, he wouldn't have a problem with it. But he's just mad at his, you know, the SEC did it. The Pac-12 has 2 teams right now waiting on to get 8 again soon. So, you know, that was just one of the things I was ranting about until you got here. But
again, like, until you watch and live through the league, you don't get it. And this league is a monster. And again, like South Carolina, who obviously didn't deserve to make it, and, you know, Colin Murray Boyles, and every team in the SEC would have loved to have that dude. He's going to be a first-round pick. Like, there's not a single team in the SEC that wishes they didn't have Colin Murray Boyles. So, and it's just, come on now. The resumes are what they are. The venues are what they are. It was a very much deserving 14. I'm glad they all got in. And, you know, honestly, like, you could look at Texas's resume and argue they shouldn't even be playing right now. They should probably be at a site instead of playing in this core. Yeah, so
exactly.
At least Texas. Yeah, it's just come on now. Who did he want in over them? I was just looking through Boise State. I'll give you this: West Virginia, not over Texas, but West Virginia absolutely should have got in over North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had a week from hell, obviously losing. Losing their coach too.
Yeah,
but like Boise State was in the next one out. I'm looking through their schedule right now. Like, they beat New Mexico, who's in their league, and they beat them at home. That's great. And then what else have they done? They've done nothing. Like, they've 3 quad 1 wins, and it's New Mexico. Maybe no, that's a home game, so probably not. Like, is their quad 1 win might be on the road at San Francisco? Like, come on now. Like, we don't need them in the tournament. We saw what San Diego State did last night, and San Diego State at least deserved to be there because they beat Houston and they beat Creighton.
Let's flash back for just a second. Of course, we're all looking forward to Friday and can't wait. But
Yeah.
just your thoughts in real time as you were in Bridgestone Arena as Kentucky's lead melted away to Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and they gift wrapped this game to Oklahoma, and then Otega always snatches it back. Your thoughts watching that lead just fizzle?
Well, as having been in the building for over 12 hours at that point and having my story pretty much done after they went on the 11-0 run, I was pretty pissed off objectively. But no, it was a meltdown, man. And look, I will, and this is not an excuse. I'm just putting this out there before getting into it more. But like Andrew Carr, they were trying to foul, and they did foul Andrew Carr on that one turnover. But I mean, this was high school basketball stuff. Like this was ugly. These were ugly, unforced errors that Kentucky was making. And you just see that scoreboard. It's okay. It's 10. Oh, it's 6. Oh, it's 5. Oh, it's 1. And now Oklahoma's ahead. It was unbelievable. And, obviously they really only had one play at that point with 5 seconds left to me, which was let Oweh get to the rim and live with the result. And I'm glad that's what they went with, and it worked. And, Oklahoma, I couldn't believe, first of all, why did Oklahoma, they didn't even contest the catch on the out of bounds play. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. So I thought that was terrible coaching from Porter Mosier, who otherwise coached a great game down the stretch, and they never gave in. But, and then, as soon as he turned that corner, I knew he was going to get to the rim. And I had a pretty good feeling it was going in with how determined he was against that team. And I'm glad, obviously Kobe Bray is a 3-shooter you trust, but like in that situation, that's like a high pressure shot. Feels like down 1, you definitely want to get to the rim if you can. And the fact he was able to get down the floor in 5 seconds to get that off, or 5.7, whatever it was, just incredible. So, and, I wrote about it after the game at 3 a.m. Central Time, that this fan base that goes out and packs that gym every single year. And, and I keep saying this with I don't want to get into the whole Coach Cal thing, but with him saying he didn't care, I had no, if he had just said that in a private room or to me or to any reporter with microphones down, I'd say, yeah, you're right, Coach. It doesn't. And we saw Lamont Butler go down, and imagine that he was out. But you can't say that when your fans show up and show out at this event, and they fill it out for you, and they are unbelievable. And there was just extra juice in that building, and that place was dead silent when all that was going down, and then it went crazy. So it was really cool. It was a great win, and I honestly, you don't want to lose by 29.
Yeah,
but I think it makes what happened Friday, understanding the circumstances, tolerable, and you move on and get to this tournament. But I'm glad they were able to get that one for the fans that made the trip, spent the money to be there, and that was a great moment. That'll go in those will go in the highlight reels and the games you look back and rewatch, or the highlights you go back and rewatch. That'll be there for a while. So cool moment, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking too. Well, your colleague Chris Fisher wrote a piece that kind of sums up everything. Probably how everybody's feeling. He hasn't won a tournament game in a while. I was talking about it before you came on.
Yeah.
Smart Pope's still sitting on 0 tournament wins. So and I'm on the camp too. Just beat Troy. That's the bracket sets up well and all that.
Go from there. Beat Troy.
I can't even look ahead. Beating Troy would be one more tournament win than we've seen in a while, and that's anything up after that is just gravy to me.
Yeah, no, and it's sad we're at that point because it's Kentucky. But you're right, man. There's a lot of anxiety from the fan base, rightfully so, about this game, and it's hard to. This used to be the feel good. All right, who's next?
It's our time. Here we go.
Yeah, and now it's just hold your breath. And I'll tell you what, I haven't. I'll get around Troy a little bit tomorrow, and I've watched a little bit of them. They're and looking at their numbers, they're better than St. Peter's or Oakland going into the game. They're better, and they play in a better conference than those two teams. The Sun Belt, I mean, it's not a great basketball conference, but it's not a joke by any means. So, I mean, there was a 4-way tie for first place in that league of teams that, like Arkansas State's in the NIT. I want to say either James Madison or South Alabama is the one that got shafted out of the NIT without that whole debacle that happened where they got invited and then uninvited. But, there's some good teams in that Sun Belt, and, they played against some pretty good, they played against Oregon, they played against Arkansas, and they played against, I think, Houston. So they're battle tested a little bit as well. So this is not a easy first, 14 seed. I think you would have felt a lot better maybe against the they can't play Lipscomb because they played them already. But this is almost more nerve wracking now that Kentucky is human in these games. And in fact, this seems pretty good. So, I agree. You can't look past it anymore. You can't take it for granted. So you can't take it for granted Friday. Like Sunday is not handed to you yet. So we'll see what happens. Obviously Kentucky's still the better team. There's no reason they should lose this game. If they lose it, total embarrassment, total failure, all that is true. But like this Troy team is better than the two that you've already lost to the last couple of years. And I could see why the anxiety's high.
Mm-hmm. I'm, put the title of these episodes in, and I just said Lamont Butler, no pressure, because Conerway is, their main guy. The Butler matchup, depending on how healthy he is, how can he go, the Butler Conerway matchup is going to be, I think that's going to dictate the game, because he's the head of their snake offensively. Sure. He's the player of the year in that league. Oh, you can go on and on and on. He's a senior. He's experienced. He knows about Butler and his reputation, and so he's getting to go up against one of the premier defensive guards in the nation. So it's a battle of wills there, and so having Lamont back is huge for us.
Oh, it's pivotal. It is huge, is right. And this Conerway kid too. You talk about what's honestly been the biggest issue when Lamont's out. I don't even think it's defense; it's ball protection. Like the turnover numbers, I might even do it tomorrow to see what the turnover numbers are with him compared to without him. It's staggering, and we obviously know the Oklahoma game and the Texas game too. Yeah. And what was the other one? They had a bunch of unforced turnovers. No, Lamont was there for Auburn, but regardless, it's a huge issue, the ball protection. And you're down Jackson already. You're down who's not even a point guard, and you're down Kerr for the year. So just to have someone who could handle the ball is huge. And then you look at Conerway, he's averaging 2.9 steals per game. That's third in the country. Yeah. You look at Troy, and they're a top 10 steals team in the country. Like you can't tell me they didn't watch the tape of what happened against Oklahoma, and they're looking at chops a little bit. So to have Lamont Butler, obviously we all know what he can do on the defensive end, and it's massive for that alone to have him and his tournament experience and all that good stuff. But they need him to help protect the basketball, because this Troy team could take it away as good as anyone. Now, on the flip side, Troy gives it away almost as much as anyone. They're 320th, I believe, something like that, in turnovers per game. So they'll give you opportunities as well, and you got to be able to score points off turnovers, and that's another reason you need your guy who's as good as anyone in transition in Lamont, as opposed to someone who's less comfortable handling the ball and bringing it up the floor quickly. So Lamont is huge no matter who they're playing. They could be playing, one of these 16 seeds. They could be playing a team that didn't make the tournament. He gives them a better chance to win no matter what. But it's specifically with the matchup and the draw that they got, he's a massive part of this. If you were to get this matchup and Lamont was out, I might almost have it on my bracket going to Troy. That's how scary I think it would be. But Lamont being good to go does make you feel a hell of a lot better.
Absolutely. So how is your bracket? Did you fill one out, or what did you
go through those? Let me pull it up here. Look, it's one of those years where there's a lot of chalk, but I do have some chaos in the next 2 days at least. But Yeah, there's a lot of chalk because as much parity as there is now in college basketball, I feel like there's just, I wouldn't say four, but I think there are three teams right now, that being Duke, Florida, and Houston, given out the way Auburn's kind of slid the last week and a half. Like those three teams look like I don't want any part of them. I don't know who could beat them until you get to the Final Four. So there's definitely some chalkiness, more so than I'm used to putting in my bracket. This is the women's. I'm trying to pull up the men's, but it's I think the first. There's always going to be things that surprise everyone, and I think there's some pretty interesting matchups out there that could sit up for it tomorrow and on Friday.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm going with my head more than I should, but I can see Mississippi State roughing Duke up, and especially with Flag's a little gimpy, I can see them just being physical with Duke and pulling that upset. Maybe I want it more than I am being realistic about it, but
I think whoever wins that game, remember the game, the Zion year when they played USF in the second round, or not USF, UCF, and it came down to like they had to win that game almost at the buzzer. I could see that happening because I agree Mississippi State can bully them around, though Mississippi State has not been the same. Like they're still physical, but they're not as good of a defensive team, but they rebound really well. And Baylor, we all know, is super well coached and has a top 10 pick in VJ Edgecombe. So like I can definitely see that being like a little
I can see that being but I got if Grant Nelson's healthy, I got Florida and Alabama in the Final Four as far as SEC representation. And that might totally blow up in my face. Like you said, we don't know what Nelson's status is and all that, but And I got Florida's going to be hard to beat. I got Florida winning it all right now. And I mean, is it recency bias from this past weekend? Maybe. I mean, they beat Alabama to death. To see them just
they beat Auburn on the road without Elijah Martin. They're just so deep. That's the thing with Florida. Like one guy goes out, they have a guy who's just as good coming off the bench to do the same thing. It's crazy how deep that team is. And look, I loved them last year, and I had them in my Final Four. They were like my Cinderella Final Four, and then they lose in the first round. But no, I have Florida winning the whole thing. They're actually my the way it shook out. They're my only SEC team in the Final Four. I had Michigan State coming out of the South and knocking off Auburn. I'm a little weary of Auburn right now, and I didn't pick it. But like if they got picked off by Louisville or Creighton, it wouldn't shock me. But I'm getting through it. I have Auburn in the Elite Eight, and then I had Florida and Houston in the title game. Duke also in the Final Four, and I have Florida beating Houston.
It's hard to, we talked about it. It's hard to sustain that level, and if you peak too soon, it's hard to get it back. Sometimes it
feels like Florida's rising. Like they had the Georgia game where could have been like, did they peak? And what have they done since that? They went and beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. They beat the hell out of Alabama again. They beat the hell out of Tennessee. They beat the hell out of Mississippi State, I think. Oh no, Missouri. Like they've just gone. They beat the hell out of Ole Miss. Like they've just been on a warpath since then. So it's like they're not peaking. They're just getting going. That was almost like they needed that loss. But I have Florida winning the whole thing, and
they got a dude 8 foot tall, don't even play. I mean,
it's crazy. But as far as upsets go, I have maybe mine are a little like I actually think Michigan will survive UNC San Diego. But I do have Yale. A&M is talk about playing Auburn win, but they've played pretty bad basketball for half a month now. And Yale beat Auburn last year.
Yeah.
Right here in Milwaukee. And I don't think they should have got in, but now that they got in and they're hot, I kind of have North Carolina not just beating Ole Miss, but picking off Iowa State because Iowa State's without their point guard. So I have North Carolina in the Sweet 16 where I have them losing to Michigan State. And then elsewhere, I have Drake beating Missouri. That's a pretty common one. I have High Point knocking off Purdue. I've watched Purdue several times because they seem to be always on Friday or Sunday. I don't get it. Other than Braden Smith, there's nothing I like about them. So going with High Point. And then the only other big one I have is I have Akron knocking off Arizona. That's another one. Whenever I watch Arizona, they are kind of stinky to me. So
it's just kind of meh.
Other than that, and I have Baylor beating Mississippi State. That's a coin flip game, 8-9. But it's a lot of chalk. Like I'm looking at my Elite Eight, and the highest team in the Elite Eight seed wise, I think I have is a 5 in Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it.
It's just one of those years, man.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think Clemson will survive McNeese. I just think it's a bad matchup there, but like McNeese could win that game, and I don't think that many people would be surprised. So, I've Duke, Alabama in an Elite Eight game, that's a 1-2. Auburn, Michigan State in an Elite Eight game, that's a 1-2. Florida, St. John's in an Elite Eight game, that's a 1-2, and then Houston, Tennessee. I'm sorry. So I have Houston, Tennessee, Clemson. That would be a Sweet 16. So I have 1-2s in my whole Elite Eight.
Yeah. So you got Will Wade making a little noise before he goes to Raleigh.
Well, I have him losing. No, I have him losing to Clemson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I have High Point beating Purdue.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But that's a lot of chalk. I just think it's going to end up being. And then we'll pick the Kentucky's bracket here. But who do you have winning the Bill Self, John Calipari matchup tomorrow night?
I got Bill Self winning that.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a coin flip one for me, but I'm going to go X's and O's in the tournament, and I trust Bill Self.
Yeah, exactly. And
though part of me is rooting for Arkansas because I'd love to see that matchup with Pitino. Love it. Like, I'd love it. I mean, I saw in his press conference today. He's like, "Yeah, I knew we were going to get matched up with him. He won't even call Pitino by his name." So like. I am like, as much as like it would be annoying, like, oh, he goes to Arkansas and he wins one, like it'd be pretty damn funny if it ended up being St. John's. So.
Yeah, and Cal had his number for years with Kentucky Louisville.
Yeah,
and I don't know, that would, and I thought that's where they went with the storylines. I thought, well, you might get a Kentucky BYU, you might get Kentucky St. John's and all that.
In the room,
they went
up. They were like, "Up, we're going to Denver." Like they set it up, and it was a pretty big surprise to the guys that it wasn't.
Yeah, they went with Cal Pitino. That's where they went instead. So I'm like, okay,
that'll do.
Yeah,
and one thing about putting Florida and St. John's together too is. You could get an Elite Eight where Walter Clayton's playing against Rick Pitino, who was his coach at Iona.
Mm-hmm.
So they baked storylines in. I mean, even go look at this Kentucky Illinois. If we get the Kentucky Illinois matchup with the way Texas is playing right now, and we all know Kentucky's history, like maybe we won't. But if we get the Kentucky Illinois matchup, Orlando Antigua's we get Big C's brother.
Yeah.
Then you have Will Riley, who Kentucky tried to get pretty bad there this summer. So, there's a lot of storylines in that. Like, it's not the same as if they were going to play BYU, but there's some storylines there. And, Xavier's able to come back and win this game, which I don't think they're going to at this rate. Cincinnati and Lexington. So,
yeah, sometimes they go right for the obvious storylines right in the first round, but then sometimes they get a little more subtle 2 or 3 rounds down the line, potentially. It just depends on how they divvy them out. But they just went super obvious with Cal and Self and Pitino, but there's the subtle stuff down the line, like you said.
In Providence, where Pitino used to coach too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you been in Milwaukee, like you said. Was that when you were in the Brewers locker room popping bottles with the Brewers?
That was in Cincinnati, actually.
Oh, okay.
We were the road team. But no, I came here. One of my roommates freshman year at UK is from Appleton, Wisconsin, which is right near Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So we did a tour at Lambeau. We hung out in Appleton, but we also drove down one night, came down to Milwaukee, and went to a Brewers game. So that was my only other time here. So this is my first time downtown because The Brewers Stadium's a little bit outside the city, or not. It's in Milwaukee, but it's a little bit outside of downtown. So, yeah, first time downtown Milwaukee at least. And it's cool. It's just cold and rainy, unfortunately. So, didn't get to do too much yet. But hopefully we're here for 5 days and not 2.
Yeah, you may get you some Cops custard, like Mark Pope said.
I know. Yeah, that's the plan. If we can, if UK can survive.
So yeah,
got to buy me time to go do that.
That's right. That's right. So the tour in Lambeau, I remember I did that. Did their Packers Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. The Cowboys, man, AT&T Stadium, they let you on the field. You can't get on the tundra. You can't get out there at Lambeau because so at MetLife. Have you toured it, and can you like get on the field and all that for the Giants stadium and all that?
Not that I've done. I'm not sure if you can or not. I'm not sure if you can or not. I've been to games, obviously, but tour wise, I'm not sure. I know Lambeau. We weren't allowed on the field, like you said, for the tour, but we definitely we did the it was cool though. I mean, you feel great when
you're and they were cool. They it was several of us Cowboys fans on it, and the tour guy was an old dude that had been there for years.
Yeah,
so
that's
he was making his little jokes and throwing his little jabs in as he told you about it. It was fun, a little back and forth with him.
Yeah, I just kept giving them at the time the Giants were still respectable, so I was just talking about the 2007 NFC Championship game and the 2021 massacre when we massacred them in the divisional round when they were 15-1. So Lambeau Field's been good to me as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Dez caught it, but whatever.
It's like actually even through the crappy years the Giants would win right now, it's like the one team we've played well against. Like we beat Green Bay and they were a good team. The Giants had a good year 2 years ago. They beat them in London, and then the DeVito game on Monday night. So it's like the one team that's like a big name that the Giants have had some luck against lately.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side, we make them look good. We make Jordan Love. Jordan Love look like a veteran in the playoffs. His first playoff start. We had him like a Hall of Famer. So
yeah, they sure did. And Aaron Rodgers had some games against you guys. It's all right. There are plenty. You guys have our number. Almost every team in the East except for Washington. Now Washington's going to be really good for a while. So
they got
a quarterback.
You got to like what they're doing. They're doing some smart stuff. So
they're going to be really good. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So y'all just going to draft a quarterback now, or y'all still in on Aaron Rodgers?
No, man. It's like I thought we were done with this. Like I thought free agency started last week and we'd have an answer by now. But Aaron Rodgers, like I'd be okay with it for 1 year, but he wants multiple years, and I don't know. What I would do at this point is if the quarterback is there that you like, you take it at 3, assuming you're still at 3, and no matter what, I would sign Russell Wilson to a 1 or 2 year deal. And I don't think he's good, but I don't think he's a cancer in the locker room. I don't think he'll mind. Rodgers was a good mentor to Jordan Love, so I won't kill him for that. But I know for a fact Russell will probably be a good mentor. I'm no Russell Wilson truther by any means. I think his best days are well behind him, but I think that's the move at this point. Just give him a 1 or 2 year deal. Let him cook for this year. Hopefully you're starting a rookie next year and get them developed. But at this point, I can't believe I'm saying it in the year 2025, but I'm rooting for Russell. That's where this franchise has landed. That's how bad it is that I'm asking for Russell Wilson. But here we are.
Man, I understand. Well, have a good day tomorrow. Killing time until
how far do you
Friday
have
night.
Real quick.
Do I have us? Let's see. I did a couple. I guess I'll call this my primary bracket. I did a couple.
Whatever you got.
People people like invited you to do stuff, and so I end up
Yeah.
doing more than one. So I got an Elite Eight run losing to Houston,
Woo! You couldn't
which
pick them to lose to Tennessee.
no, I couldn't. And
I actually, and I already said it on Big Blue Insider, so Big Blue Nation can hate me, but maybe it's just recency bias. I have them beating Troy, but I have them losing Illinois because Illinois is a matchup issue for me. You go look at them on Ken Palm, and they are a top 15 offense. They're top 20 in tempo. They have 3 forwards who shoot above 35%, including Big Z's brother. There's just a lot of matchup things that scare me with that. So, the way Texas is playing right now, when Trey Johnson scares you, but I think Kentucky, if Lamont Butler is healthy, I mean, they should have beat Texas without him on the road. So I
that's
think they
true.
could go and beat them. But I think you're rooting for whoever wins this game tonight to beat Illinois because Illinois can give you problems, man. They don't Kentucky. That's just a bad matchup for Kentucky. They're not as, and the only reason they're 6 seed is because they had a 3-week stretch there where they were passing around the neurovirus and flu to each other, and they dropped a bunch of games. The way they are offensively would scare me. So I think if you're a Kentucky fan, you ought to be rooting for the winner of this 11 game, even if they have some momentum going.
Yeah. So we shall see. Is maybe one of these teams where Texas could
Really
knock
good.
them off.
They came
Yeah.
to play.
Mm-hmm. So we'll all kick it off tomorrow. Officially watching games all day. To pass the time until Friday evening when Kentucky gets on there, man. Got Dwight Perry with Wofford playing Tennessee.
Yeah,
Maybe we've
that'd be
seen 15s that
the
beat twos
story.
before. So.
Hey, they set up the storyline there. It's just Wofford has to make it happen. They also Wofford has that kid who shoots the free throws granny style.
Yeah, yeah. So
That'd be something. Really, it is really cool because I haven't been in. I know obviously Rupp has hosted the tournament, but not in my time living in Lexington. So it's really cool to see all the shots from the Louisville beat, from the Tennessee beat, from Auburn's beat, and seeing Rupp in that tournament environment. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. For sure. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. It starts in earnest tomorrow and wall-to-wall games. So much fun.
Time of year, baby.
So
Yep.
it's it, man. Enjoy tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
Looking forward to your coverage tomorrow night or Friday for the actual game. And we'll be back next week talking about what happens. Hopefully Kentucky is moving on to Indy.
Yeah, hopefully we're getting ready to go up to Indy. That's the hope.
Absolutely. Everybody check out Aaron Gershon at the Cavs Pause. Check us out at Believe.com or wherever you get your podcast. For Aaron Gershon, this is Vinny Hardy. It's been another episode of Believe in Kentucky. Go Cats. March Madness. Let's get rolling. See y'all next week.